I'm Debbie Bell-Hosking for Finextra TV here at NextGen Nordics 2025 in Stockholm, and I'm speaking to Vasile Valcov of Banfico, and we're talking verification of Payee. Welcome, Vasile.
Thank you, Debbie. It's nice to be here.
It's great to be here. There's quite a buzz behind us, so hopefully our audio will do us well.
I hope so. But I also hope the people will hear what's happening in the background, because that's how awesome the conference is.
Oh, that is so great to hear, because there really is a fantastic atmosphere. And verification of Payee is a much talked about subject. I'm hearing it a lot today. So my first question to you, if I may, is how aligned do you think financial institutions are in achieving the same standard of verification of Payee compliance?
I think they're very well aligned. And that happens because the European Payments Council has rolled out the VOP scheme for SEPA countries. And they have a quite detailed rulebook. They have API specification. They're developing a European directory service. They have procedures for checking conformance with these specifications and requirements. So all of this is being done to assure compliance and interoperability between the various payment service providers across the European Union and the EEA countries. And it's nice to see this because I've been in the open banking space for many years now. And with the rollout of PSD2 back in 2019, when the deadline for you it was, we didn't have anything of that sort. Some countries did better than others because they had some country standards and some country solutions, but most of it was left to the banks. And the implementation was, I have to say, terrible. About 80% of the APIs were simply not functioning when the deadline kicked in. So I really hope this time around, when the deadline comes, October 5th for Eurozone countries, it will be working and people will be able to verify the Payees.
So Vasile, you sound very confident in the trajectory of VOP. Is misalignment an issue in the industry right now?
I don't think it's a misalignment problem. I think it's the missing pieces which are not being covered by the European Payments Council scheme. And as an example, I can give customer experience guidelines, and we've seen this in the UK, right? We have those guidelines, which means that each bank will provide the same type of messages and will visualize the response that the payer sees in their banking interface when there's a no match, for example, or when there's a partial match. We don't have that in Europe, and I think that that's important because we talk about trust in payments and instant payments, and for people that use more than one bank or at some point will switch from one bank to another, they want to see the same type of behavior or responses, and they'll immediately know this is a verification of Payee process, so I can be confident and trust in the response. Another example, I think, is related to going beyond compliance, because there's a lot of opportunity in that space, and there's a lot of demand in the market, not just from banks, but also from corporates, think utility companies or telcos, that want to get more data out of it. Not just a simple response, but maybe how old is the age of that account, or other details about that account, so to be able to get a better risk of that Payee's account. So at Banfico, we're created this market working group. We're bringing together all the players in this space and trying to bring standardization in the future of VOP.
It's interesting what you say about going beyond compliance. That's an interesting phrase in terms of VOP. And I'm hearing a lot of positivity about VOP as a security measure. But is it strong enough on its own to stand on its own, VOP?
I don't think so. I mean, it's a huge step forward, and it must go hand in hand with the instant payments, because fraud will go up if you don't have mechanisms in place. Verification of Payee will help consumers and businesses be better prepared, right, and be more careful when fraudsters try to get into the flow of money. But it's not enough on its own. So we have situations when, even within the European Union, we have the Eurozone countries and non-Eurozone countries, and the deadline is different. We have 2 years apart. So the moment when VOP goes live in Eurozone countries, fraudsters will target the countries which are not part of Eurozone because there's no verification of Payee there. So that will increase the risks for people and businesses doing banking in these countries. But we also have cross-border payments. How do we get protected in those kind of situations? So it's not enough on its own, but it's definitely a very important step forward into bringing trust in payments.
And let's talk a bit more about the various roles of VOP. What is the role of VOP when it comes to open banking?
That's a good question, and it's one that I think it's a bit overlooked right now because focus is mostly on banks and payment service providers. But we have another type of service provider under PSD2 who are the payment initiation service providers. And under the instant payment regulations, they are also obliged to provide services for VOP to their clients in certain use cases. There are some exemptions, of course, but there are some use cases when they have to do it. So it's a call to all the open banking out there, open banking players out there to do this due diligence checks and see what they have to do in order to comply.
And lots of chat still about compliance and security, of course there are. But in terms of verification of Payee, really interesting to chat to you, Vasile. And no doubt this is a conversation you're going to take forward throughout today, really, at this event and onwards. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Debbie.